Right, so welcome back to it's the third episode now of the podcast, and it's just me and Jack today. And yeah, we're just going to be discussing some stuff and some things. How are you doing, Jack? How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm quite. I've woken up early today, which is a rare
Well
rare
done.
thing.
Well done.
Woke up early for this, so it's all good.
Good job. Good job.
How have you been?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm back at work now and enjoying the sort of out of lockdown somewhat freedoms of, being able to work, and that's pretty much it.
We're really isolated out in the countryside, so I've barely. That's a lie. I went into town last week. I think Thursday last week. And had a good old walkabout. But yeah, other than that, not really been getting out much.
No.
But
are there any good walks near where you live? Like, it's countryside.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can walk around a lot. There's just not a lot to do. There's a town further up the road that I've been walking to and from a bit. It's been quite nice. Nice little rural area. Big church on a hill. Quite a nice little place.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much all my getting out. I've not been doing much. I've been working on lots of musical stuff actually.
Nice, that's good.
Yeah, we're looking at. I've done a lot of writing over lockdown, and this is something we can talk about. Is working over lockdown and how it's helped a lot of musicians. I think because we spoke a bit about it before about how it's kind of hindered a lot of people, but I think it's also helped a lot as well.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
and I think it's certainly helped me in some ways of getting down and just working. And I've written quite a couple. That's not a word. Quite a few songs. So now we've kind of got enough material for 2 EPs.
Ooh.
And not enough, nowhere to record them yet.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, and then I guess you've got to decide what goes on what EP, and that sort of thing.
Well, I've kind of just run on it as it's an EP. It doesn't need to be the greatest piece of work, but it needs to be the best that we can put out. And it's got. Luckily, we have written about like enough for 2. And we decided already what's going on the first one, so it's just dunking everything else on the second one.
Yeah.
But making sure the track listing is right and making sure it all flows well together. And if not, we'll have to move stuff around. But yeah.
I was listening back to what my band recorded sort of before most recent lockdown. Yeah, well, we had 2 sort of bounces that we got from both of the sessions, because we did 2 days, and obviously the first day was just adding drums to like a guide track that was already there, and then the second day was like layering some more guitar parts sort of to go over the new track with the drums. And like obviously like we need to re-record all the vocals and stuff and guitar parts, but like listening back to it after a while has given me a lot of like sort of perspective on it. And I've also been showing people it to get like feedback. I think it's important. I would send it to you actually, but I can't figure out how to send the file. It's like too big to send, but I'll work something out.
Yeah. It could be interesting to hear.
Yeah, no, I think you'd like it, because some stuff on it is quite almost like there's like bits which are a bit like Radiohead-esque, a bit like Muse-esque. There's like little influences there I think you'd appreciate. But yeah, that's for when I next see you at some point. I'll show you those.
Well, I don't know. I'm coming down in a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty much booked up for everything because it's such a long car journey. You have to come down and then immediately start doing stuff before you have to go back up.
I was thinking the other day about the and we were talking about this just now before we started recording, about that jam we did with a bunch of us indoors.
The back garden stuff. That was real fun. I really wish we had been able to do another one afterwards. you get like a proper recording out of it.
Yeah, I reckon next time we should do some sort of miking. Maybe not close miking everything, but definitely using some sort of better, because I think the camera audio didn't really.
Yeah, that was, it's a live and learn. You pick up stuff as you go, and that's definitely a learning experience that we've had. And I spoke to Lloyd afterwards about it, and we were both like, yeah, definitely next time we should probably do a better recording of it. But yeah, I really, I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to do another one. And yeah, as you say, definitely get a proper recording of it. I mentioned to Aidan before we did it, because I know he's got a laptop and he can record through mics and stuff. And I'd mentioned to him, although a bit ambitiously, that if we did record it, we could release it as an EP. But you've got to think copyright issues. I mean, the Eagles copyrighted us within half hour of it going up. So
or something. Yeah.
But
I mean, also on like a practical basis as well. Like, I'm thinking back to that day, and it was the hottest day of the year.
Oh,
and I don't know how like I don't know how stuff would have been safe, like laptops and stuff in that weather.
No.
They would have overheated.
We could definitely put the laptop in the shade, but as for like cables and microphones and stuff, who knows?
I mean, I burnt myself on my hi-hats. Like I put my hand on my hi-hats. So I remember not like burn, but I remember touching it and being like, "Ow, that's hot." Like I could cook an egg on that.
Well, I felt really bad for Aidan because he had brought this really, really beautiful jazz bass with him, proper nice Fender jazz bass.
Yeah.
And after every song, after every like go round, he had to put it in the shade to let it cool off because the scratch plate was warping.
Oh god.
My guitar's warped a bit as well. Actually, the back of my guitar is sort of bowed. And my
snare drum has never sounded the same since. Got to say.
It was a great idea and concept. But as you say, next time we should probably take a few more precautions.
I mean, it was beautiful weather. But
yeah, it was really nice to actually do it and play and see everyone as well. And as we were saying before we started as well, it was the biggest jam we've both been involved with 5-6 people involved.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of clips of like Aidan was just messing around and you joining in with the drums, and then Sean joins in a bit as well. Like that stuff was real fun to see as well as listen to. But yeah, definitely if we do another one, we need to be a bit more cautious of weather. I'm glad it was nice weather for it. At least it wasn't raining. But
oh god, yeah. I mean, I'd rather get sort of sunburned than kind of get, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I was like pink afterwards.
Yeah, same. I wore shorts. Like it was. Oh man, you could see the tan lines for weeks after.
I think it's like the one day I've ever worn shorts properly because it was like too hot.
Yeah, you just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a picture. Yeah, no, I think I don't like wearing shorts, but it was like that one day I was like, no, I can't sit out there in jeans because it's too much.
I liked as well how about the jam was that we had like, you know, different singers for different songs, and like we all joined in some songs, and then you know it was only like one or two people singing for some. Like I remember Ho Hey, Aidan just did that, like knocked out of the park. I
know. Well, it was the second verse, isn't it, where he like really belts it out, and I was like, the neighbours, but but it sounded really good. And as you say, like if we properly mic'd everything and properly recorded it all, it would have sounded amazing, and it still sounds decent. Through the camera mic, but yeah, definitely we need to.
Yeah.
Hopefully, once everything calms down a bit, we can get back down to it.
Yeah, definitely. Like with that group as well. Especially.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because it was. I've known Sean for ages. He's very, very chilled out, and he's just a great guitar player. Aidan obviously is really chilled out as well. Lloyd is really good with what he does. Abby's great with what she does as well. You're really good with, like, we all work really well together, and it just sounded really great to do, and definitely get it back as well, because as a group we're all really, I would say we're all pretty decent friends.
Yeah. But that was it was a nice experience, because that was like the first time I met Aiden. It was like only the second time I met Sean, because I met him at the first open mic briefly. But then, like, just like, it's the power of music, isn't it? In uniting people that you may not have known for that long. Like, you just meet up, have a jam, and then, oh, that's it, you're mates. Because it brings out that feel good factor.
And we all, during the breaks of the songs, as I was saying, when Aiden had to rush his bass inside to cool it down, we would all just sit around having a chat for a bit until he felt safe to bring it back out again.
until it stopped, like, steaming.
Yeah, until it, like, started to stop. I'm really glad. It sounds somewhat selfish. I'm glad we didn't take my Hofner out there, because that would have actually, like, ruined that. Because it's completely hollow, so it would have just completely done that. I mean, my guitar hasn't sounded amazing since, but
it adds character. It adds character to the instrument.
I'll argue that.
We'll say that.
It's got a bowed back on it, and it's slightly annoying.
If you ever sell it second hand, be like, yeah, it was, it was on the hottest day of the year. It's got character. It's forged in the fires.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time, and we should definitely do another one. But
absolutely.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to find them, we should probably put the links to them all in the video description of this. Granted, though, I don't know if the Hotel California video got blocked.
I think it might have done.
Because I go and check on it every now and again, because the Eagles are very strict on their copyright, and they struck it down within half hour.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying. So we don't make any money from it, but we weren't making money from it anyway. So that didn't bother us. But I don't know whether they've, like, blocked it, or it's just they're taking the non-existent money from it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that kind of, the copyright law is like a really interesting but also weird thing. Like, I was watching a video about like plays and how, like, the estate of, like, F. Scott Fitzgerald are really, the guy who wrote Great Gatsby, they're really, like, controlling over the rights of that story. And so, like, if you put on a production of it or anything, like, it's you can't even change anything in the script. Like, they're very precise.
Well, I've worked backstage in a couple of musicals, doing, like, lighting design and stuff. And yeah, I mean, they have to take out these big budgets just to take the rights of the play to put it on.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, to edit it as well, they've had to edit parts of it where they haven't got the cast for it, or there's a scene that's not appropriate for children to perform. Yeah. But yeah, like, to be able to perform it even takes up loads of money, and then obviously you've got all the money for the props and everything, and it's just, and the band to hire. It's a lot of money, and most of that goes to the rights to do it. And we did Grease, which is, like, one of the biggest musicals ever, right? And it's just like, it was so expensive just for the rights of it. It was like,
and especially if you have to pay for, like, backing tracks. I don't know if you have to pay for those. I guess you do. You have to pay for the rights to use the backing tracks. You would have
to, yeah. We didn't have to. Luckily,
you have a live band.
We had a whole live band come in. It was really great, and we had a couple of horn players come in as well to do the sax runs and stuff. It was really nice.
I did research at my school as well. Like,
did you?
We did a school production of it. We also did a school production of We Will Rock You, and we were going to be doing.
We did as well.
Yeah, two classics. We were going to be doing Sister Act, but then COVID happened, and I left school early. So.
What were we going to do? Bugsy Malone. That's what we were going to do this year.
Nice.
I've never seen it.
No, neither.
And
I just thematically it sounds cool. Like, I know about the themes.
I know about it, and I've seen bits of it, but I've never seen the whole thing. And I was really building up to have to watch it and listen to it all to figure out the lighting and whatever. And then it got called off like 2 weeks before, like I had to go in and start doing stuff. So it saved me from having to do much work, I guess, but it was slightly annoying. But yeah, we did We Will Rock You when I was in year 7. I wasn't involved with it, but I went to kind of see it, and it was really, really good. And then they did Hairspray, I think.
Nice.
Which is also really good. And then Grace, as I said, I was. We'd always.
Were you always like in sort of behind the scenes production stuff, or did you ever do any of the? Yeah, because I always like the idea of that, because I think it's really sick. Like, you know, being in charge of like set design, and it's something I'm really interested in. But I was always in the band for like Grease and We Will Rock You. So I basically just got to learn a bunch of Queen songs. It's great.
Yeah,
who doesn't love Queen? Yeah, it's fantastic.
No, well, because the piano teacher would play the piano parts and everything, and he did all the arranging of the vocals and stuff. He's a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
And then he would bring in sort of mates that he's known for years from in the industry that would come in and do the drums and whatever and so on.
Also, it wasn't a student body sort of band. It was
so they would have, because mainly the students who were the musicians were the singers. So they would be on the stage singing. The Sandy was one of the big singers, and so on. But then the band would be the music teachers' mates who were all really good musicians. I believe for We Will Rock You, though, they did have a student band, if I remember. I think Declan was in it. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's there. Because I think I've seen him in one of the pictures, but I don't know. But but otherwise it was all but the students, they'd have, so there was me, one of the sixth formers. When I was younger, it was one of the sixth formers, and then when it was me as a sixth former, it was one of the younger kids. And we would do the most of the backstage stuff. And I had my lighting desk on one side, the sound desk was on the other, run by one of the IT technicians. I remember a drama group came in to do a show of We Will Rock You. For copyright reasons, it was called We Rock. And I originally was told I would be doing the lighting design, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm used to that. They had their own lighting designer come in anyway. And he was obviously accomplished and knew exactly what he was doing, so I wasn't going to argue with him. So I ended up doing smoke machines backstage for like the 2-hour show.
This sounds funny.
I got moved to like literally backstage sitting, and just every now and again just have to go from one side of the stage around to the other, press that smoke machine until there was enough out, go back round. And the funny thing as well was I'd asked 2 mates of mine to do the spotlights, and I brought them in. They rarely did else. They didn't do any of the lighting stuff. They ended up doing more lighting than I did because they were still on the spotlights. And
you were just making smoke.
I was just the smoke machine around the back.
Smoke machine go brr.
Essentially, yeah. And I would. So after like every scene, or if there was a particularly intense scene, I was like running inside to get enough smoke out.
Gotta make it dramatic.
Yeah, well, there's that first scene with Innuendo where it's I forget the character's name, but he comes out and there's loads and loads of smoke coming from behind him. So that was particularly much because I had to keep running. And then after a while, I sort of had to take it down a notch and just every now and again.
Yeah.
But that was a good show to be part of as well.
It's getting the balance right, isn't it? It's like you don't want to overdo it on any certain aspects of the show, because I guess you don't want to steal focus from the actors, but also you do need to add atmosphere.
Well, I think I would just have to peek through the slit in the curtain just to make sure there was enough, and then just leave it.
We didn't have that sort of budget for smoke machines or anything. I think we had one spotlight on the balcony, and obviously we had like a sound desk thing. But yeah, we had like one spotlight, but you could change. It had like filters you could put in to change the color of the spotlight. I think.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that. And we had like stage lights and stage microphones hanging down. But it was like we had like at my old school, it was really really old building, so the stage and stuff was actually quite old, so we were dealing with quite a lot of outdated stuff. I remember one time the curtain wouldn't close properly because we had people like winding these things, and it broke because it was so old or something, and it just got stuck halfway, and we had to like unjank it.
We didn't even have it was a new stage because it was a new school and it was a new hall. At the old St. Mary's, they had like one of the proper stages raised up, grand piano on stage and stuff. But they moved to the new building, and they have this very like Brechtian staging where it's just like there's nothing on stage. It's very minimalist, but you've got a massive space to add loads of stuff if you want. And put whatever you want on there and make it whatever. So it's a really nice space to use because obviously you can use it for whatever. And yeah, we didn't have the curtains where you had to pull yourself. The lighting desk, I believe, came from the previous school with it, so it was fairly outdated and was still being held together with like duct tape and stuff. But
classic. Oh man, the palaver we had with microphones. At one point, we were just like, there was a microphone breaking every 30 seconds, and it was like, what do we do? Like we had these clip-on, you know, those like the ones that go there, and like you have a mic pack.
Yeah, the box.
Oh man, such a palaver.
We had those, but you try and tell a year 7 how to properly hold a microphone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we'd do the annual prize givings, and they'd have these kids come on to do the performances, and there's like year 7s like holding the microphone by the aerial that the signal goes through.
Yeah.
So they're like speaking, it keeps cutting out, and it's like just hold it up a bit further and you're fine.
Yeah.
But they're I remember one girl because we were baffled because one of the mics had stopped working, and we were like, what the hell's going on with this? It was the main mic that was being used, the standing one, and it turned out the girl who had spoken last into it had her phone in her pocket and hadn't realised, so the phone signal was like completely screwing over the microphone.
Yeah.
And we were sat up in the lighting desk going, how the hell are we going to fix this? Because we're up here, that's down there, and the show started. Like, what are we going to do?
Man.
And then it just turned out she had a phone in her pocket, so it was all right, and it wasn't an issue. But yeah, like the mics had to get changed batteries every like 10 minutes because they just went.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. If you don't prepare for like, batteries running out, your batteries are going to run out. It's going to happen.
We were always really pre-prepared. The teacher who ran a lot of the staging stuff, she was really like on it with making sure we had enough stuff. Gaffer tape was always, we had a drawer just full of like random stuff that may be needed at any moment.
Yeah.
Like tons of batteries, pens, papers, tape, all kinds of random stuff that you'll need to just get going. But yeah, it was working backstage is definitely a different experience from working on stage, but it can be a lot of fun.
Because you and me both have different perspectives, because you obviously did the backstage stuff and I did music stuff. Now we just need someone who is an actual actor to get on.
I've done performances in front of my drama class, if that helps.
There you go. I mean, yeah.
I've never acted. That's a lie. Well, other than primary school, but I'm not counting that. I've never acted on stage. I'm not a big actor. I'm not great, but I'd never. Being an actor per se was never really what I wanted.
No.
I don't mind acting, and I like drama class, and I liked learning about different practitioners and workers in drama, as opposed to actually acting it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I agree. Like, I think I'm the same as you. Where I like learning about it, and I like, listening to like interviews with actors to like hear their methods and stuff. But I could never do it myself.
No,
I like the theory behind it. It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you watch some actors and certain plays as well, and you're just like, that's incredible how they do it. I don't want to do it, but it's amazing to watch them do it and to see how they work. I mean, we saw King Lear with Ian McKellen as King Lear about a year or so ago, and he's brilliant to just watch him and be like, because it was fairly small theatre as well, so it was fairly close. We were quite high up, but you could still see him really clearly. And yeah, to just see him, and obviously everyone else in the performance as well was brilliant. And just to watch other people act is great.
Oh yeah.
But working backstage is a very different experience from working on stage, because you see a lot more that you wouldn't otherwise see.
Yeah, for sure.
As I say, the grittier stuff of I mean, the backstage just is never clean. I don't know if you can attest to this, but no backstage I've ever been involved with is clean.
Yeah.
It's always just filled with costumes, just laden over chairs. And
I can attest to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are boxes like behind the stage that have been there for like, probably since before I was born, like genuinely stuff like that. I mean, like I found a it wasn't backstage, but it was in a cupboard in the music block, and I found a bass drum, right? And I was going to see if I could like put it back together or whatever, and I found a fur coat stuffed inside of it, like a giant full length fur coat that had been used on one of the productions ages ago that they were going to chuck out, and someone put it inside the bass drum for muffling or something. I don't know, but
if it works, it works.
It's just one of those bizarre things. I'm like, that's got to be older than me. Like
a fur coat's a new one. I've seen blankets, pillows, like felt hats been thrown in there, but fur coat I've never heard been used before.
It was insane.
No, we never had anything quite too old, but there was set pieces just left behind from like shows like 6-7 years before, because they were like, well, you never know.
Might redo the same. Yeah.
We might redo it. We can maybe reuse it for something else.
Yeah, like paint over it, something like that.
Yeah. When we had these drum blocks, and anyone who's been in a drama class knows these blocks, and they're like the size of this piano bench, and they're really versatile because you can use them in pretty much anything.
Yeah.
So they were painted like grey with stone patterns for when we did Joseph, and then they were painted completely black for just general use.
Yeah.
At one point, I think they were painted like brown as well to be like part of a flooring or something. But yeah, they're
there's so much you could do so much with that, because you could even paint on, like if you wanted to, you could print off posters on it, or put a bookshelf on it, like paint a bookshelf or whatever.
We then. Not only though those blocks as well, we had these screens. They were just like wooden slabs about that thin that were raised like 6-7 foot up, and they would use them for like back walls or whatever, and they would plaster, like one of them currently still designed from We Will Rock You, so it's got the London Underground sign on it, Hendrix posters on there. The lyrics to Imagine's on it, they got used in everything, and the joy of those is as well, you can just flip them around and you have another blank slide to use. So yeah, as I say, like one side's We Will Rock You, the other side's like Hairspray, and then you can reuse them for whatever. But yeah, backstage is always good fun when you're doing stuff, and definitely when you're part of the joy as well for me was you would sit up in the lighting box, and as you're running the show, there goes the doorbell. As you're running the show, I don't know if you heard that.
I did. It's fine.
As you're running it, you can watch everything happen, and it's kind of like watching this orchestration of everything work out really nicely.
Absolutely.
There's always something always goes wrong inevitably, but but that's everything.
I know what you mean though. It's like you've got Overwatch on the entire situation. Like you can see everything going on.
Yeah, I mean but as I say, like at some point during the show, someone's microphone's going to go. At some point, someone's not going to change into the right costume quick enough, so they're going to come out like with the wrong jacket on, but the right trousers or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, that's
part of it. That's the charm of it, I think, as well. It's like, especially like small productions, there's like a real, feel of like we've just kind of scraped together what we have. We've really like kind of worked hard, and I don't know. Especially in schools, I feel like you get a certain sort of camaraderie with like the people you're doing it with. Like with your other musicians or your other like stage hands, or if you're an actor, with the other actors and stuff. And
well, I mean, I'm one of my really good friends I made because we worked backstage. I hated him before. He's one of those. He was one of the kids when I was like year 7, year 8. I just thought, I wish I'd never have to speak to him. We got thrown in together in year 9 into doing the lighting together, and we're like best mates now.
Yeah.
But it was because we had to do. We were like stuck in like a small room for like an hour each morning doing assemblies, or we'd have to coordinate stuff for the other shows. But you make some really good friends, and I've met a lot of really good actors, some really good singers backstage. I mean, I met Abby backstage as well. We can't decide what show we met at because we've both done a lot. But I met her at one of the backstage shows. I'm pretty sure I probably found out about Lloyd for the first time backstage at like a show.
Yeah. It's such a big thing for socializing and stuff.
Yeah.
I've met so many good friends through, and it's like it gives you so much experience as well. Like that's another thing. Like even if it's like an amateur sort of performance, it's an amateur production. It's not got a high budget. It's with a school. It's child actors aren't necessarily the best actors, but they're trying their best. They're giving it their all, and they're really, some of them are really good. And
majority of the time,
and it like really gives you some really good experience for like later in life. Because I mean,
definitely,
personally, like drumming for a band, and then drumming for like a band for a musical, they're so different. They're such different worlds. But it's like great to have experience of both.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, what some experiences from doing that, because it's it's definitely something I've never. Part of me always wanted to play with a group who were doing that kind of stuff, but it was always that the adults were doing it and students didn't do much of it. But I mean, it's interesting to see students have to do it as well.
Oh yeah, well, our student band was basically essentially all students, apart from maybe 1 or 2 teachers. I think one time, one teacher, legendary guy, he was really good at guitar, like insanely good, like loved like the Queen songs. I don't know actually if he loved Queen, but he loved playing the songs that we did, and so obviously followed a lot of those Brian May kind of Brian May guitar parts. He was doing those, and then obviously the students were sort of doing more of the chord work and like bass and stuff like that. And we had a lot of drummers at the school. So there was for Greece, for We Will Rock You, there was like me, a year 9, a year 8, and a year 11. So there was like, I was in year 10 at the time, I think. Yeah. So it was like 4 drummers. So we had to like split all the songs between us all. But it was a great experience because it basically taught you to read cues well. So you were always listening, because we were in front of the stage. So the stage was raised and we were just on the floor in front of the audience, basically. So the audience could hear the music really, like, it was in their faces a lot. We had to like think about that. But yeah, it also makes you think about, like dynamics, how softly or how loudly to play, because you need to think about the actors behind you, and if their mics are, being loud enough, and like, hearing the levels and playing appropriately to the sound and yeah, like reading cues and knowing when to come in. Because you know in musicals there's a lot of instances where they go right into a song and you're waiting for that line where it's like da, 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 you know, and it goes straight in.
I'd never thought of it like that, to think of sorry, to think of an actor's mic. Actually, it seems like an obvious thing actually now you think about it, but it's I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, no.
Well, like getting the levels right, because you really want, obviously you want the singer to be heard above all else, right? Because it's a musical. The vocals are what people are wanting to hear, but you also need to think like, what can we do to best support if it's like a not as confident a singer or a bit of weaker voice, maybe how do you as a band work together to kind of support that by, like, you know, maybe playing a little bit quieter for that individual and then playing a bit louder for that one individual who's really projecting and
you can really get it out. Yeah, I mean, especially when you're working with kids as well, who I've noticed, particularly with male voices, a lot of them are. It's a common thing with male singers is once your voice drops, it's almost like restarting, because you've kind of, your voice has changed so much. You need to, you really need to adapt to it, and a lot of male singers aren't fully used to it yet, or they're not too confident. So it's you've got to accustom for them, and then there's some, because there's always got to be a kid who's in one of the younger years who has to be brought on to really highlight the younger years, and you've always got accustomed for them as well, because they're because I know from doing the mic stuff, you've got to, we used to keep everyone's mic sort of level, but then there's always one that goes really high just to make sure that everyone can really hear them.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Because they've got a little squeaky voice still, and they're trying their best. Honestly, I love it when they do that though, because I think it's like, it's so important to get the younger years involved. And I think a lot of what's really sad is that a lot of people at the time in the older years were like, ugh, like, who's this annoying little kid? Like, you know, oh, they can't even sing. It's like, give them a chance. Like, be nice. You were that age too. And when you were that age, were you brave enough to do what they're doing? Like, no. Like, I have a lot of respect for, you know, kids who want to do it, because it is like difficult and scary. It's scary being in the band even. Like, I remember being so nervous before We Will Rock You.
You get nervous doing the state, like the overall staging as well, because you you sit there and I'd sit down at the desk and it's like, 5 minutes till the show starts. I'm like, is everything in order? Because I'd usually like to set it out so that literally it's just a button press and everything goes. But I'm sitting there like making sure everything's in order, making sure I don't have to do any extra work, making sure that the spotlight guys know what they're doing, at what points, highlight on their script where they need to come in, and you just, the nerves of it all, but then the joy of it afterwards, of when everything's going and you just sat there and you're just like, yeah, no, it's worked out fine. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's the good nerves.
Yeah, I love the final number. The final number of the production is like, it's like the home run. It's like, yes, this is great. Or like the encore, because I think we did like I don't know what we did. We might have done Radio Gaga for the encore. Oh no, we did Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I was about to say, usually Bohemian Rhapsody is the encore for Rock You.
I'm just trying to remember whether we even attempted it. I don't know if we attempted it.
It's an incredible piece to play.
Yeah.
It's so complex.
I'm just trying to rack my brains and remember what we did, but that is, I can't remember. But We'll Rock You has got to be my favourite one that I did. I did enjoy Grease a lot. I got a solo in Grease. I got a little drum break.
Yeah, because there's a drum break in I forget what the song's called.
Hand Jive,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I remember they were sat there, the band, and they were trying to talk out how they were going to do it. And they were like, we'll do 16 bars of the drum break, and then we'll add in the bass on the 17th bar, and by the 20th bar we all come straight back in.
Yeah. Oh man, that has got to be one of my favourite experiences of my life.
Do the drum break.
Just doing the little drum break. Loved it.
I watched the drummer do it I only ever knew him as Silver. I don't know his real name.
Cool
but
name.
He had silvery hair, so he just got called Silver. And ironically, we gave him the silver kit to play as well. And he's going right at it, and it's just great fun to watch. And then he comes right back in, and the song kicks off again. Grease was great fun to do.
Man, yeah. We had 2 different kits from one show to the next, because in between, so the first kit was like a really old, not super old, but like it was like a Pearl Vision. It was quite beat up. The cymbals weren't amazing. It was a bit kind of. It's still my favorite kit because it's the first kit I ever learned on, and it's got a special place in my heart. But we used that for We Will Rock You, and I think it fit perfectly because it was just like raggedy and like a bit beat up, but it kind of fit the sound a little bit because it's a bit more like a lot of rock songs, But then for Grease, in between the time, so I think some people in the years above me did like a fundraiser for the school's music department. They did they ran a quiz night and used the proceeds from that to pay for like a piano, like a keyboard and a drum kit and some other bits and bobs, like some music stands, some mic stands, which, it's a bit sad that actual students have to raise the budget themselves for the music department.
I mean, that's a whole other issue.
Government funding.
But yeah, no, it's as we said, we've talked about previously, musical education and everything. But yeah, it's funding for music isn't always great. And I think we mentioned it a bit with Luke as well the other week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But yeah, no, funding's never great. But it is quite cool to see students come together for something like that.
They all love music and they all want to try and support
to improve it.
Yeah.
Well, we had 2 drum kits, and the silver one was kind of a bit not great, but it still sounded really good when it played by the right person. And then we had I don't know what the model names are or what bits are what, but there was the silver one and there was the brown one.
Describe it.
And it was like an oak wood. I think the silver one was pearl. I'm thinking.
Right.
Sounds about right. Rarely saw the oak kit though.
Was it a Mapex? That ring any bells?
Could very well be.
Because we got a Mapex. I can't remember what Mapex it was, but that was the kit they funded for. DW? Does that ring any bells? No, I'm not. I'm going to give up now.
To be fair, I saw it because it had its own room where it sat in the practice rooms, and it was sort of it was just sat by itself. And I, not being a drummer or not knowing anyone who really drummed, I rarely saw it, but I remember I sat in there a couple of times with it, just to look at it. But yeah, no, it was oak.
Nice.
It looked oak. That's
like a natural wood finish. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love that. Sorry, I'm a massive drum nerd. Like,
that's all right.
If you mention anything drums, I'll be like.
No, it's great fun. It's I really like talking gear.
Me too, man.
I've spoken to Aidan about amps and basses and stuff. I'm not great with amps. That's the one thing I'm not fully knowledgeable on. But I love looking at guitars and people and what people use. And as I say, Aidan has this beautiful Fender Jazz bass, absolutely beautiful thing. And I don't know if I told you this, but I acquired a 76 jazz bass, 78. So
nice.
Late 70s. I'd been helping out at old people's coffee thing in Cedars Park, and I just started talking to this guy. He was a classical guitarist, one of those guys where one hand's got loads of fingernails, like really growing out, and the other's blown out. Yeah. And I was chatting with him, and he had mentioned to me that he had this bass. I was like, well, and he was talking about how it was really beaten up and damaged, and he was just going to throw it away. And I said to him, "Don't throw it away. Like, don't. I'll take it off your hands." I took it off him, and I could see what he meant. It was completely wrecked.
Was it busted?
It like the pickups were rusted. The strings you don't expect to last, but the strings were like really old. The neck had like a chunk missing out of it on the side. The back of the neck from where it's been played so much as like gunk on the back. Like, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it was covered in this awful black paint that was clearly not the original finish. Like someone had like spray paint on it, and the knobs were missing and everything. And I looked at it, and I was like, maybe not. I don't know if I'm going to keep working on that. And it was the wrong way around for me. Anyway.
I love those restoration jobs. Like,
well, so then I took it to one of my grandma's friends is a luthier. He fixes up guitars, and he's mainly a guitar guy. So I took him this bass. He was like, I don't know how much I can do, but I can at least clean it up a bit.
Yeah.
And he said it took him about 2 hours to get all the paint off before he even started working on like any of the electronics.
Yeah.
And he took it all apart, took it right down back to the original wood finish. I wish I could remember what type of wood it was. Ash, maybe, I don't know.
Sure.
And he said to me, I went and collected it, and he said to me, I'd be really glad you didn't plug that in, because at some point it spent some time underwater and the pickups were like waterlogged.
Oh my.
I know. So I'm fascinated by this thing.
Yeah.
Because
like, what's the story?
And I remember asking the guy originally, so what's the story about it? The guy who gave it to me, and he was just like, oh, well, my sister's son, or like a sister's friend or son, something, owned it. He was in like a punk band. They don't want it anymore. They gave it to me.
Hence the black spray paint,
The black spray paint and the obvious damage it's taken.
Yeah.
The fact that the knobs were missing and stuff. But I'm fascinated by it. By the fact it's spent. I'm guessing someone must have like knocked a drink over it or something, like a pub or something.
Yeah. And you said it was 70 something, 78?
Well, so I looked up the serial number, and it said around 76.
Okay.
But then I spoke to the luthier, and he said to me, well, the sticker, because on guitars, when you take off the neck, it usually has the date, the year that it was made. He said the sticker's been taken off. So someone's taken off the year date, and he said, normally you can tell by the amount of screws are on the scratch plate, but he said, I can't tell what year it is. It's either as early as late 60s or as late as like early 80s.
Yeah, man.
But he pinpointed it to around mid 70s as well. So I got
just based on the design and stuff. What was
he was like, based on what I can tell from it.
Based.
Funny.
Sorry.
I took it back home, and it sat in my room for ages, and I was just like, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. Like, it was going to be way too expensive for me to fix up. Yeah. And even if I did fix it up, it's the wrong way around, so I can't even play it properly. So I just went, Aidan will probably take it. I know he's really into it. He came round. I'd messaged him and told him about it. He was like absolutely up for it. He really wanted to get hold of it. Because I'd remembered the first day I met him, he had said about he has a really big soft spot for 70s jazz basses. I was like, well, here's a potential 70s jazz bass. And he took it off me, and he was really happy with it. He hasn't updated me on how it's going.
Sure. These things take a while, though, these restorations.
Oh, yeah, I didn't expect him to get it done, this quickly. Yeah. But I told him about it, and he was immediately up for like buying new pickups for it and getting all the proper materials.
Restoring it to its
But it's a fascinating instrument. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with it. And I'm glad I've given it off to someone who will treat it properly.
Yeah, for sure. You should never chuck away these things. No, I think it's better that you gave it to someone who's going to appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the guy the guy who gave it to me didn't want any money for it, because I'd said to him, "Oh, do you want anything for it?" He was like, "Nah, because it's just worthless at this point." I wouldn't have said it was worthless, but it's certainly, by the time I got my hands on it, it wasn't worth much money.
Let's say it's not desirable.
No, like unless you are someone who really likes to clean stuff up, you wouldn't have wanted to take it.
Yeah.
So I got it cleaned up for a bit, but other than that, that's all I did with it. And then gave it away. And I'm intrigued to see how it goes, because I think once it's clean and once it's all done, it's going to sound and look.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Who knows?
I got a couple of old snare drums that are a really interesting story to them, because I found them in a cupboard at my school. Full disclaimer, I had permission to take them away.
Okay.
I didn't steal them. Because someone called me a thief on an online forum, because I posted the picture of them being like, these are some snares I what's the word? Restored. And and someone in the comments was like, "Oh, restored, you stole them." And I was like, "No, and the thing is, right, the shape I found them in, they were out of use completely. So we are literally talking like just a shell, like literally a wooden hoop with some lugs on it, and not even all of the lugs, like some bits were missing and stuff. And so I took it out, and I basically said to my music teacher, like, would I be able to, take this home and clean it? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. It's a fun restoration project. So I took this thing home, and I cleaned everything. Like, I had to soak bits, because there were bits that were rusted and covered in grime, soaking it in white vinegar to remove the rust, and greasing up all of the parts again, and polishing the surface, and it looks like a brand new drum now. And I had to put money into it, because I had to get obviously new heads, because the heads on it were broken, completely shot. And the snare mechanism, which attaches the snare wires to the bottom of the snare, lifts them up and lifts them away, was completely broken. And I fixed that. There's a little clip on Homegrown actually, where I do a little rig rundown, and I explain what I used to fix the snare mechanism. But I took it to Gig Gear in Harlow to get some new heads for it. And there was a guy there who was interested in it, and I sort of spoke to him about it, and he had a look at it, and he's an expert in sort of vintage drums. And he said that it was most likely a pre-production snare from Japan, which flooded the market, made in Japan, sort of before pre-production just means before they were sort of united under one brand name. So there's there's Pearl and there's Tama. Those are the two main Japanese companies. And this is in the 70s, basically, while there were loads of sort of mini sort of companies. They weren't all trademarked and under the name brand label. They were all sort of produced really cheaply and sent out. But it's still got a really cool story, because it's it's old. It's probably not very good wood, and not very good build materials, but it's a vintage drum. And I like how it sounds. There's another snare drum as well that I got from the school, which was I think it might even be 60s or earlier. But nice. I genuinely it's a really old, it's a steel shell snare drum. And when I found it, it had tension rods. Around the outside of the drum, there are those tension rods that the things that connect it to the shell. The little screws.
Yeah, that's
probably the closest analogy.
Drum key.
Yes.
Drum key for them. Yeah.
Drum key, yeah. Okay. And you know how the drum key is a square shape and it slots on? These lugs were so old that they were before that kind of standardized way of making things. So they had a slot. So you had to use a screwdriver to unscrew it, or there were special drum keys made for it. But they had like it was like designed for like a screwdriver.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was old, but like someone had taken the badge off, so I didn't even know what it was. But then I like ages ago, I was just like scrolling through eBay, just looking at snare drums that I can't afford, and
as we all do.
Yeah, and I saw one that was like almost identical to the one I have, because I thought it was like a Premier, which was like a British drum company, but it was actually what was before Premier. So like even older than
what you thought.
Than what I thought. And Premier was used by like Ringo, for example, before he moved on to Ludwig, he played Premier. And before Premier, there was this band called Beverly brand. And so I realized that was what the snare drum was. It was a Beverly snare drum from like the 60s or possibly earlier.
Well, I mean, because Ringo switched over, from what I know of Beatles history, he switched over to Ludwig in 63, 64.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's really old then.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you think Premier sort of came about sort of around the same time or a little bit earlier, Premier's been around for ages. Like, because there's like old marching snare drums from like the military, which have the little Premier sort of logo on them from like the 20s. So it's like an old company. I don't know much about it. I'd love to know more, but Beverly is like, I think it got sort of amalgamated under the same. It probably got bought by Premier and sort of.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, like restoring those things was like such a fun experience, because it helps you to understand the inner workings of your instrument.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of jealous because I don't have anything older than like 2010 maybe, instrument wise. But I mean, my classical guitar is from Toys R Us, if that makes sense.
That's cool.
It's, you know what, right? You may knock it, but you put some new strings on that, and it sounds really nice for some reason.
Honestly, it's the same with drums. It doesn't really matter about the shells if you put nice heads on it and tune it nice.
But I mean, you put a decent set of strings on it. It probably needs some sort of clean up service or whatever. I mean, it's not the greatest thing I own, but it can sound really decent for what it is, and it was 30 quid from Toys R Us maybe.
Yeah.
And I bought it in 2006, 2007 maybe. So like that's the oldest thing I own.
Yeah.
But
still bargains, mate. And like, well, you know, if it sounds nice, it's good.
You know what? It's not an issue, but yeah, I mean, that jazz bass is the oldest thing I've owned, but I was not gonna clean that up and work on it myself.
It was too far gone.
I was just like, well, the reward I'm going to get out of it is I'm going to have a really nice bass that I can't play, so there's no point.
Yeah.
I guess I could have sold it, but I don't know. You can't tell how much you're going to put, how much of a profit you're going to make if you put it in versus how much you're going to get out of it. But I thought, you know, Aidan would definitely be good with it. Even if he goes on to sell it or whatever.
He still would have enjoyed the process of working on it.
He will definitely enjoy doing it a lot more than I will. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating to watch and to see instruments get restored from what they were. I mean, as I said, the luthier I know has like loads of old guitars that he's worked on over the years. He's got like an old 60s Strat that he still owns that he's modified over the years and added new pickups onto to keep up with the times and stuff. And he's got like 60, 70 guitars just around that he's just accumulated. He's got like a really old Hofner 6-string up on his wall. Some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Something that looks like an Epiphone 335, but I can't remember if it's an Epiphone or a knockoff or something.
We had a nice Epiphone at the school that was sitting in a cupboard, and I think it was broken, but it was like it looked like a Gibson SG. Do you know what I mean? With the kind of like the horns.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, like very AC/DC.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of SGs, but Epiphone instruments are really nice. Whenever I've played one, they're really good. I've always really liked the look and the sound of like the Casino 335 ones. You know, John Lennon on the Rooftop ones. I can't think of anyone else who plays one.
What do they look like? Are they
kind of like an oval shape at the bottom, and then it kind of goes up?
I think I know what you mean. I can't remember. Yeah, I'll watch that video later, and yeah.
But they're beautiful guitars, and they sound amazing. And again, like Epiphone's like the Squire of Gibson. Like they're supposed to be the cheaper models, but as we were saying just before, like it doesn't matter how cheap it is because the quality can still be really good.
Oh, absolutely. It's the same with a lot of drum companies. People were put off by the price, but like oftentimes it's more so to do. It's got more to do with how you tune it and what heads you use. And same with guitars, like how you play it, how you tune it, what strings you use. It's all important.
Well, I mean, Billy Joe still plays like a Nevada Strat, if I remember correctly. Like that's like a knockoff of a knockoff.
Yeah.
Of the Strat.
Yeah.
And yet he still uses it.
Yeah.
Today, because that
guitar is iconic, man. That is it's insane.
You look at it and it's completely beaten up, completely wrecked, but the way he still uses it, and like he had to get pickups changed on it. He's had to obviously change the strings, but he like loads of the hardware has been replaced over the years.
Yeah.
But it still sounds amazing when you can get it working.
I remember seeing him use it live and just being like, it's like a dream. It's like a dream come true.
I've not seen them live. To be fair, I've not actually been to many live music events.
Oh man,
to be honest,
you're missing out.
I know. Well, it's always a question of money, really. But then it comes down to who I want to go and see. I've seen a couple of like tribute bands.
Yeah.
And they're all really good, but they're not the real thing.
But I really like those sort of cheaper, smaller events, like those small gigs for like smaller bands, where it's
definitely.
£12 a ticket, and you just sort of rock up, and it's in like a little cozy venue, very intimate.
Yeah, I wish that's the regret I have is I wish I'd gone to more of those.
I mean, I've barely been to many compared to some people I know who've been to like. I mean, I've never been to like a proper festival before, and I know people who've been to like. No. They're like, I've been Reading twice. I've seen like Slipknot, Metallica twice. I've seen like, and they're listing off all these bands, and I'm just like, where do you get the money for this? Like, I've seen like 3 bands in my entire life, and
I've gone. I could count 3 that I've seen, and 2 of them were tribute bands.
Yeah.
Tim Minchin doesn't count as a band, but I went and saw him.
A musical event, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I wish I'd gone to more smaller events. That's one thing I wish I had done more of.
Man, if we knew that this pandemic was going to hit, we'd have been to like every
I would have gone to everything.
Yeah.
I remember Lloyd and I went to Heart's Pride last year, and we saw Q Cliche. They're a punk band. I'm not a big punk fan, but they were really good. It was really good fun just to watch people play.
Sure.
But yeah, I wish I'd gone to more stuff like that where it's smaller local bands and you go and see them. That's something we should probably set up with Homegrown at some point when we can. But yeah, it's always good fun to see live music. I wanted to ask you because I know we wanted to do the review as well in a minute. But we were just talking about musicals for a bit. Are you a big musical fan, or are you?
To be quite honest, not particularly. I don't really like a lot of musicals. I only really like the ones that sort of. To be honest, I only really like doing the musicals because I was part of the band and like
You're in it.
playing the
Yeah.
music, and I love the songs, but like I wouldn't go out of my way to see the musicals. Let's just say that. What about you?
No, fair enough. I've been to a fair few.
Yeah.
They're good fun.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I get it.
It's a different experience from going to see like a live band though, because it's very much story orientated. You're very much it's almost like going to watch a play. You go there and you sit down and you don't typically engage unless
I like plays, to be fair. I love plays.
I think I probably prefer musicals over plays, but I think because it has the musical aspect to it.
Yeah.
But we saw Bat Out of Hell in it would have been 2018. That was really fun because you get the music of Steinem and Meatloaf just like projected right in your face. I mean, it's definitely the way to go and see Meatloaf live now than actually seeing him live.
Speaking of Meatloaf, to be fair, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is one exception to the rule for me. I love that film.
Again, that's kind of a different question though. Is musical films are very different from actually seeing the musical.
That is true. Musical films are different.
Again, it's a different medium, but it's similar in ways, and I certainly do enjoy musical films. I mean, the Jersey Boys film, which is the music of Frankie Valli. Obviously, Grease is one film everyone's seen at least once.
Yeah.
In my case, multiple times. It's the family film. It's a great film, and it's a great play to go and see as well. But that's one of the few cases I would say where the film is probably better than the actual live musical. Yeah. But I think because it's so iconic in its
I mean, you can't really
in what it is.
You can't really compare to the acting of
no.
What's his name? John
Travolta.
John Travolta.
Well, you see any other Danny, and it's just like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not John Travolta, and the same with Sandy. It's not Olivia, but it's an honest attempt, and it's certainly some of them certainly can be better. I mean, there's a few songs that are cut from the film that end up in the actual music. They're always really good fun to be a part of. There's the I forget what the name of the song is, but it's the guy who can't play guitar. And it's
I know that song.
C, G, A minor,
C, 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 A minor. Yeah.
The four chords that everyone cries about. That goes on forever, that discussion. But yeah, it's I guess you don't. Do you hear much about that as a drummer? You don't, like with harmony stuff.
I'm very much in the percussion world where it's just
it doesn't invade your
thing go boom and thing go snap.
just hit things. It's a discussion that constantly takes up pretty much any musical discussion, unless it's about like drums or something, because it's a whole different world. But yeah, it's the full chord loop that everyone goes on about. You just can't escape because everyone's like, it's such a boring sound. I'm like, I know. We all know this is not going on.
Yeah. But it still gets used.
Yeah, I mean, it gets used because it's clever. It's the only issue is it is so used. If it wasn't so used, I think no one would have an aversion to it. Yeah. But once you hear it in a song, you can't unhear it. It's really annoying. But I think you'd see a good musical, and as I say, Bat Out of Hell was brilliant. I've seen Our House, which is the one about madness. It's not about madness, but it's the one with madness music in it. Yeah. That was really good fun as well. Because again, it's music that, in the same way that We Will Rock You is, it's like music you wouldn't expect to hear in a musical.
Yeah.
Like but
it works.
Because it's that rock. In case of madness, it's ska music, but it's stuff that's sort of almost sits out of what you typically think to hear in a musical.
It's because when people think musical, they think big orchestra and like You know what I mean? Like really dramatic sort of operatic.
That one song in Wicked with where she starts raising up in the air.
Oh, I hate that song because it just reminded me of GCSE.
We had a girl, brilliant singer. We had a girl do it at one of the prize givings. It was the first time I got to use one of the coloured spotlights. I was really happy about that. That was my big moment. I got to use the spotlight and turn it green.
Nice.
But she did it. I forget what the song's called now.
Defying Gravity.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And she did it brilliantly. Probably better than when I actually saw it live done by professionals. The whole show was really good. But yeah, it's a good song, but it's so overused by anyone who does musicals.
I've seen Les Miserables in a theatre in the Spotlight in Broxbourne, in Hoddesdon.
Oh yeah.
Hoddesdon/Broxbourne, yeah. And that was really good. And it was like I think it was a student performance as well. I think it might have been I can't remember what school, but it was someone. My mum's friend's son was in it, and we all went along to go and see it. And it was like it's actually really good. Like it was like
that's the same
really well done.
That's the same as when I saw Our House. It was I think it was the same drama group who did We Will Rock You, and when they came in when I was in the Smoke Machine, I think it was the same group.
Sure.
Sean was involved with both, so could have been. But yeah, no, that was also really good as well. And they did one other one as well that I went and saw. I forget the name of it, but it was like a jukebox with loads of 80s music in it.
Right.
I forget the name of it, but that was also really good as well. But yeah, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, was student productions that can be, and usually...
Really, really fun.
Yeah, really... I mean, even if there are little mistakes, it's fine, because you get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously Diamond in the Dirt released their latest EP. I think it was... when did they release it?
November 30th.
Oh, right, okay. So it's not too long ago.
No, I thought it came out a while back. But now I'm thinking about it. I was thinking of their single that came out.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Please Don't Spit in My Mouth.
Yeah, which came out in January. That's why I'm confusing it. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on listening to it? Did you enjoy it?
Well, I know I've met Sonny, the singer and rhythm guitarist. I've met him a couple of times. Really nice guy. I've not met the rest of the band.
No.
From what I can gather, they're all real good guys. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to a little bit of their stuff before, but it always struck me. It's not the kind of stuff I would listen to in my.
You're not really a punk guy.
No, I'm not. I'm softer.
Yeah.
Lesser, softer stuff, but yeah, I mean, it was certainly well made. That was the one thing that hit me, because production-wise,
I really enjoyed the production on it. Like, because I've listened to some of their previous stuff, and this one almost sounds a little bit more polished, but not in polished, but like in a good way. It's not like it's not clean. Do you know? It's not like sanitized. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like it's more polished, but it's still got that edge. Still, there's like grittiness.
I think the word I would use is it sounded a lot tighter to me, because I've heard Brexit when it came out, because I remember Lloyd played it to me. So yeah, I mean, I've heard a couple of their stuff before, but yeah, I think the word is tighter. It certainly sounds, and to my knowledge, it was all recorded individually during COVID,
that's impressive. That's a feat.
So yeah, to make it sound the way it does while everyone's divided is quite an interesting way of doing it. I don't know how that.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as the way they recorded it, I think it was done with a studio, like it was done by a exterior studio that they go to. But if not, and they just did it themselves. It's a really good effort.
We should get Sonny on the podcast and
yes,
and if he's got time and ask him about that, because I think it'd be really interesting to know firsthand how they recorded it and what went into it and stuff. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I think we should ask. I'll message him in a minute. But yeah, I mean, I you're more of a punk guy.
Yeah. Oh, massively.
So I was more interested into. Well, because this is your territory almost.
A little bit. I mean, I guess I had a little bit of a. I've delved slightly into sort of very surface level punk. So obviously I listened to a bit of the Sex Pistols just to understand what started it and stuff. But then from people like my brother, I listened to a lot of Minor Threat and Black Flag and a few other bands. I got into punk. I had like a bit of a phase of just listening to like punk bands from like the 80s and like late 70s going into the 90s. A bit of Fugazi. I really like Fugazi. Fugazi are great. And I can almost hear certain influences of that in Done in the Dirt, because like I think like especially in like the vocal delivery, it's kind of Henry Rollins-esque. It's like shouting your message from the rooftops.
Well, that's again, I can't attest to it of influence-wise, but that's certainly something that's stuck out to me as a characteristic of their stuff from before. I mean, as I say, I don't know if you listened to Brexit.
I did, yeah.
During your listening, but that's just angry.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's just shouting your message. It's not. It's not the soft beat around the bush. It's very straight to the point.
They're not afraid to say what they think.
No, and I think they've certainly got an element of political discussion where, in a very blunt way, that obviously characterises punk overall. But they're. I mean, Sonny is very political in essence, and his support of Black Lives Matter and everything is not only right, but also is just.
You can hear it. It feeds into that sort of ethos.
It's a very strong value of his, and it comes through very well in music, particularly on the song. I forgot the name of it, but it's the first one. Speak Up.
Yeah,
that was it. So I've got Spotify open on my phone, so I'm like scrolling through as we go.
That's cool, yeah.
But yeah, it's really good music, and
I really liked. There were bits in Please Don't Spit in My Mouth, which I thought were like. I think it's like after. It's like towards the end. There's like almost like a bit of a breakdown. As a drummer, I think it's like I don't know whether they went into like half time.
Right. Okay.
And it's almost like a bit of a breakdown, which is almost like a bit of a metal influence there, where if I could describe it better, I would. But it's like for the beginning part of the song, the beat is very sort of boom bap boom bap boom bap boom bap. But then in that last part, there's almost like a bit of a breakdown. It's like dun, bah, bum, bum, bah. And it's like
I didn't pick up on it, but I should probably have.
As a drummer, I'm listening to that and thinking like I love that sort of almost like a slow, heavy breakdown on the drums, like I love that.
But not only is there the punk and the almost metal influences. You say there was I think it's in Please Don't Spit in My Mouth. Probably actually during the same breakdown. There's like a guitar part.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it sounded almost bluesy, Chuck Berry kind of sound.
They were almost like jazzy chords.
Yeah,
and for the theme of the song, it sounded very discordant, and I think that feeds into the whole punk thing because it's about discourse and fighting against that sort of having those really those sort of like you were saying bluesy. Like almost jazzy chords.
Yeah, because it stuck out to me and something that almost like was Chuck Berry sounding, George Harrison kind of sound to it, or to my ear at least. And And I was just like, oh, it wasn't something I was expecting. But as you say, it adds. It's a minor thing because it's only in there for about a second or whatever, but it really adds to the music in a losing on words.
No, no, I know what you mean.
In a odd way. It's really really
because
well done.
Because it's going against the grain of what you've heard so far.
Yeah.
But it's that going against the grain. It's that discordant note. It's a bit like, oh, bit of a switch. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really nice. Another point.
A bit better than I was in.
Another point I wanted to make was the song Anna. Like there's a lot of I've noticed in a lot of their stuff. There's a lot of chantable sort of lyrics where it's almost like a mantra that gets repeated over and over again, like a little motif that comes up again and again. It's very characteristic of punk, I feel, because it's a callback. It's like if you can imagine being in an audience, like
the call and response.
The call and response, you hear those lyrics, you're chanting along. It's like a simple message. And that kind of always harks back to the song Hopeless as well, where it's just repeated, you know, and it gets in your head and it's like you can imagine chanting along to it. So I feel like that element of it, again, you can hear that in Anna. Well, so I liked it.
Something that stuck out to me throughout the whole EP, Anna as well, but I think it was particularly Speak Up as well that stuck out to me on this was like a, as you said, call and response, but it's the backing vocal really suits well in a peculiar way because Sonny, as we say, has got a very aggressive tone in his voice, and
quite deep vocals as well.
And he's got this very aggressive, very angry sound to his voice, and then you've got this chanting in the background that almost just sounds hooligan's the wrong word, but like just a group of rowdy kids just shouting right back at him, and as you say, it adds to that without it being a live performance of that call and response. Yeah, with the vocal. Yeah,
I also picked up on the backing vocal as well, but in especially in Please Don't Spit in My Mouth, the backing vocal, there's like a really high pitched, it's almost like a scream of despair. Like I don't know if I can play it on the podcast, but do you know what I'm talking about? It's like
I don't remember it.
So Sonny's saying the line, and then layered behind it, like you said, backing vocals. There's high pitched sort of screams of like sort of repeating the lines, but in like it gives it like a tone of despair, and I really like that. As I quite like that sort of doomy sound that you get with like the lower vocal paired with like the high pitched vocal. I like it.
That just comes down to general music theory, doesn't it? But it's done in a different way throughout all of punk.
In a punk way.
But it's with the like a low harmony hitting like a lower note, and then the high harmony hitting the same note higher, or the major third or whatever. And
I'm pretty sure it's the drummer as well doing the higher pitch thing. I could be wrong.
I couldn't tell you who does what, but
maybe we'll find out if we get.
We could do. See. We're just hinting to him. But I looked on their website, and what interested me was all four of them do vocals. Like so Sonny's doing the lead vocal, and all of them are doing the backing vocal.
Yeah,
which is quite peculiar in a band, I think. Everyone does vocals.
Yeah, but I think it's nice because it shows you the full range of the band. Like there are bands where it's like painfully obvious where the overdubbed vocals and the backing vocals are the same as the lead singers. Like, for example, I know it's my favorite band of all time, but My Chemical Romance, like, you can always tell that all of his harmonies and stuff, apart from a few, like, screams, are done by him. But actually the standout moments for me aren't when he's overdubbing his voice or when you can hear him harmonizing with himself, essentially, on the recording. It's when you hear, like, the guitarist screaming in just pure anger and just rage, and that for me is better because it's like it's not just two two of the same voices layered. It's
I think it's definitely together. More interesting with more vocals than just one with an overdub of a higher one by the same guy.
Yeah.
But it struck me as peculiar because you don't see where all four members, or five, or however many you have, all do vocals. I mean, even if you take like any, off the top of my head, I can't. Queen, for example.
Yeah.
You've got Roger Taylor does the high, Freddie does sort of the medium, also higher points, and Brian did the low. But John Deacon would just sit out on vocals because even though they're a brilliant band, they don't all do the vocal part because and you know, because some are just not as tested to do vocal stuff as others. But it highlights a sort of a personality in their music.
Definitely.
Is the fact that they're all. I mean, it all highlights a personality trait of them all.
Yeah, I love multi-vocal bands. I think it's great. I think it makes a band more interesting when you've got
definitely.
A different dynamic, a different vocal range, or just a different timbre to that voice.
Yeah, you know? Different tone.
Different tone. Yeah, because like Sonny, it's low, gravelly, like you're saying, sort of aggressive. But then you've also got those kind of like chants in the background, like you said, which aren't in that same tone. And I like that because it adds character to it for sure.
No, that's it. Brings up into a whole.
I'm no music theory expert, but that's just what it sounds like. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an expert on it either, so don't expect complex.
This is just our opinion, like, isn't it?
But it adds character, and it adds even if a singer's not a great singer, it adds enough character to the music that it's like, oh, their tone sounds different vocally than everyone else's. You know, their voice sticks out in a way. I mean, that's a whole another realm with singers that I don't think either of us are particularly qualified to go into.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best singer.
Probably better than I am, don't you worry. I mean, it's certainly a unique thing to see, at least to what I see, to what I know. But I think it was a good EP.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad I gave it a listen.
I think
it was
my favourite song of theirs. Has got to be "Beast Don't Spit in My Mouth." I guess it was the single.
I would agree.
But that is the standout one for me.
Yeah, I guess I'd already heard it previously, so I knew what to expect. Although the guitar, as I say, the bluesy guitar thing hit me differently this time.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just listened out for it. I guess, but I mean, I think that's probably my favourite as well on there. Good choice in single.
Yeah, man.
Is what I'm gonna say.
It's a strong single, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it characterises their music, and certainly in the same way that Brexit did as well. Was it very much is like, this is how they sound.
Yeah.
Whereas some of their other stuff extends from that sound.
Yeah.
Not massively that it doesn't fit, but some other stuff sounds slightly different.
It's almost like those are the flagship songs.
Yeah, those are the ones that stick out and say that's them. This is how they sound. Yeah. And then you listen to the EPs and it's like, okay, that's the familiar one I know.
Sure.
And then here's some slightly branching stuff from that. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was a good EP.
We'll link the link to that in the description as well. So you guys watching can check it out, because you need to check it out.
It's a good EP.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of links in the description today.
I'm trying to be more professional. Like, I've been seeing videos.
No, it works.
And you know how people always like, link in the description, smash the like button, subscribe. Don't forget, Jack. What do they need to do? They need to hit the bell.
Oh yes, the bell, which I never do. I always forget.
No.
I'm used to YouTube before the bell, which seems peculiar now, where you just hit the button and you expect to get notifications.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not enough anymore.
No. No, now you need to do a separate thing. It's not good enough to be subscribed. What a mess of a platform, mate.
It's nothing. It's a whole nother thing. I remember, this doesn't have to go on the podcast because this is just general crap. But I remember during 2016 when YouTube was a right state, you had just everyone was fighting with each other.
Yeah,
that was awful.
Just
constantly, it was pathetic. Like it was like 20-year-olds, like in their late 20s, just like fighting over the internet because someone called another person ugly. Like, calm down.
Oh mate, oh man, we grew up with that. That was our childhood. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone. That's the end of the third ever Homegrown Music podcast. Hope you enjoyed.
It's been going well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Hope you are too.
I am. It's good to talk to someone at some point in the week. But yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Keep going with them. Yeah.
All right. See you soon.
Cool. Bye.